Hello everybody and welcome back to Pravus Gaming, a more Democracy 3 playing in Greece at maximum difficulty. Going on to what, year 6 now? We're almost getting to the halfway point of our second term. That'll be pretty fun. So we have the skills shortage, the technological backwater, and the uncompetitive economy getting very close to gone. Why'd this tick back up, actually? Productivity apparently went down somehow. That might have something to do with the lowering technology grants and the unemployment issues we were having, but I still think that this is going to be able to go away, especially if we do manage to get our technology at the perfect sweet spot where we get the technological advantage, which will get rid of the technology backwater and give us a productivity boost, which gets rid of the uncompetitive economy. So I'm not feeling especially worried about it at the moment. What I am worried about is the economy cooking up a little bit too fast. And if it does, then our environment is going to fall apart, which right now is stable-ish. But then we're going to have a water shortage, almost guaranteed, along with a whole host of other problems if we're not very careful. So, let's pay attention to this. We have an oil drilling opportunity. We could allow the drilling, or we could prevent it. One is economic, one is environmental. We're going to go for the environmental because that's the one I'm concerned about right now, not the economy. So there's a technological advantage I said might happen. Perfect. Okay, so now that we've crossed the start trigger, we can go anywhere in this region and not lose the advantage, at least not entirely. So that's good. Productivity is going to spike as a result of this. Hang on. Nope. Come on, game. Technology backwater actually instantly goes away once you have the technology advantage because you can't have both simultaneously. That's just ridiculous. Uncompetitive economy is going to go away, and the skill shortage looks like it's going to go away at the same time. Oh, wow. Okay, so we're about to have 3 massive boosts in the GDP is what you're trying to tell me. Right. So we need to do some things to try and reduce our environmental impact as quick as we can. One such option would be banning low miles per gallon cars. Yeah, we could just ban them entirely. They're polluting all the stuff. The gas guzzlers are destroying the planet. So if we just get rid of them, street cruisers might look cool, but they're too expensive. What's good for the... what the heck? Environment? I've been pointing out typos in this game for years, and they still aren't fixing them, and now I'm finding new ones. What the heck are you doing? Positech? Please watch my videos, and then correct your typos. There's a bunch of them. I can send you a list. Anyway. Alright, yeah, we're going to ban these entirely. Now, this does reduce oil demand, because we're not relying as much on the gas guzzlers. We're not wasting fuel, which means we don't need as much oil in order to produce the gasoline, so that's good. Car usage goes down, which is actually very good for us right now, because it reduces traffic congestion, which hurts the GDP, but lots of car usage is also kind of killing the environment, so reducing this a bit is going to be nice. Motorists, not especially happy. Can't say that I blame them, but what's good for the environment is good for society, don't you know? So you're just going to have to eat it. The most important thing, though, is that the environment goes up by 14% over the next 8 turns. It's going to take a while for that to come to fruition. My God, what's in my throat? I don't know what just happened there. So sorry. Very unprofessional. This is going to take a little while to take full effect, but obviously that's a pretty substantial amount, 14%. One of the best. So we're going to do that. Also, CO2 emissions goes down, which is nice, albeit, honestly, not as big a deal as you might think. CO2 really affects pretty much foreign relations, and it kind of helps raise the temperature, because climate change is considered an inevitability in this game. You know, you would have thought that with the Clones and Drones expansion, they could have had something like carbon scrubbing research subsidies or something. I don't know, anything. I didn't want to do that, apparently. It's an inevitability, which means the water shortage is an inevitability, which means you will always lose. It's just a question of when the planet decides to kill you, which I guess debatably is accurate to real life as well. But besides the point. All right, we got 9 points left right now. I'm going to hold on to these for the moment. Just for the moment. Because what I want to do is I want to raise up the petrol tax. So yes, we just banned lower mile per gallon cars, which means everyone's going to have more fuel-efficient vehicles. La-di-freaking-da. That sounds great. That means they're going to consume less gas, which I don't like. I am going to then have to just raise this back up, since they apparently have more pocket money, since they're not paying as much in gas. Let's just make gas more expensive. We'll get a tax, an extra $18.2 billion per quarter, which is not going to hit the GDP very much at all. But it is going to reduce car usage a lot, which, again, we really want to do in order to improve the environment. So if you look here, car usage is still quite high. I'm not happy with that. The monorail is gradually chipping away at that, you know, but it's just not enough. People aren't commuting enough. And there are a lot of things we could do on that front. We could go for some bus subsidies, free bus passes, and so on, subsidized school buses. These are all good options. But not all are very effective in terms of their political capital costs, so meh. Let's move on to the next turn. It's just more effective to hit people directly in their wallets. Oh, crap! All right, so we got a food price crisis. This always sucks. It reduces the GDP and stuff. Fun. Water shortage happened. I was just talking about you. Hi, speak of the devil, and he shall appear. And believe me when I say that the water shortage is the devil. Crap. Okay, so food prices are now going to be slowly ramping up for the rest of the game until we get rid of this. By a constant amount. It doesn't matter if we can reduce the water shortage a bit or at least stop it from getting worse. No. The food prices will constantly be going up by like 10% every single 3 months, which means that poor earnings are going to go down, down, down. And if they get low enough, we have a general strike. And if you have a general strike, the economy shuts down and we lose everything. It's gonna suck. In the meantime, the GDP actually just skyrocketed because both of these are gone. I now have a lot more money to work with, which is not the worst thing in the world, actually. More money to work with means I could afford the Climate Adaptation Fund, at least partially. Let's go ahead and raise the petrol tax to, like, say, 45% or so. This is about as much as you can get before the GDP starts taking a hit. Motorist membership goes down, car usage goes down. Good enough for me, and we get the money that we are going to need to reinvest in the environmental policies that will save Greece from certain destruction. So that's pretty nice for us. The other thing that we could have done, and I actually may still need to do this, is mess with farmland acquisition. In fact, you know what? Let's actually go ahead and do that. We're going to jump into the next turn, and we're going to do exactly that. Hang on one second. Skill shortage is at an end. Great. People smuggling. Oh, good. We have an event. A large number of people have been caught entering our country hidden inside cargo containers in an organized attempt at people smuggling. Yeah, Greece would know all about this, wouldn't they? They still have a lot of illegal immigration issues, right? A lot of economic migrants moving from northern Africa and Turkey and the Middle East, including refugees from Syrian region, I believe, that are passing through Greece trying to get to the rest of the EU. And Greece gets stuck catching a lot of them and having to figure out what to do with them. I think I've seen some reports on, like, the deplorable conditions of, like, the camps that Greece has, but I mean, I can't say that I know a whole lot about that. And also, what a horrible position for Greece to be in. What are they supposed to do? They can't integrate these people in, and they're not exactly supposed to just send them on. What exactly do? They didn't ask for this. It's just kind of a weird position to be in. I don't necessarily blame Greece entirely, but at the same time, can you blame the migrants for being desperate? I don't think so. So we have the option to allow them to stay in the country because they were desperate to flee persecution, poverty, and even death. We can see how desperate they are because of the lengths they went to get here. It's inhumane to deport them now. Well, now you know it's a liberal policy. Deport them. Letting them stay would send the entirely the wrong signal to those who want to come here illegally. We have enough problems as it is. Send them back. Rule of law thing. I actually totally understand both sides of the argument here. On one hand, the rule of law and national sovereignty is kind of important, and yeah, it does send a bad signal. On the other hand, there's a kind of a humane expectation, a moral expectation that we try to help people who are desperate. And also, there's really not that much wrong with immigration, usually. Too much immigration can cause issues in the country. But there's a healthy balance. You do want to let people move into the country if they want to be there. They're usually more of an asset economically than they are a hindrance. So, I mean, that sounds dehumanizing because I'm breaking it down into numbers. But my point is, immigration within balance is a good thing. Too much immigration is dangerous. Too little is also bad. So, some is good. And again, yeah, refugees and stuff is one thing. I actually kind of morally separate refugees from a dangerous area from economic migrants. I mean, maybe I should kind of equate those a bit more, but to me, refugees kind of get a higher priority due to war, civil war, gangs, and stuff like that, as opposed to, hey, you guys are richer and have a welfare state. Although, keep in mind, sometimes poverty in those countries can also be a death sentence. So I don't know. It's a complicated issue with a lot of variables and a lot of things to consider, and both sides, I think, have some reasonable arguments. But we're going to allow them to stay because it kind of fits with the liberal playthrough, and I think this makes ethnic minorities happy. Yes, it does. It makes them a fair bit happier. Good. So that should make Lucas a bit happier. Good. Shut up, man. I did something. I let the people stay in their cargo containers. I didn't get them out. You know, this actually reminds me. I'm going to ramble a little bit for a second. I had a class in college. It was like world geography or something like that. And basically, it wasn't even just a geography class in college. It had a lot to do with the cultures and the political histories and philosophies and so on of all these different regions of the world and how they developed over the last few centuries and so on. It was a very interesting class. I liked it a lot. One of the things that you could do was you could go to some films for extra credit, which is an easy GPA booster. Why not? Of course I did that. And one of the films that we went to was produced in France. And a big central theme was illegal immigration. I don't remember what it was called. They all spoke French, and frankly, the cinematography quality was just horrible. I mean, seriously, I hope that's not representative of most French films, because that was just it's disgusting. But anyway, I'm being a little bit harsh, I know that. Anyway, the plot had something to do with, like, this old guy is like a fisherman. They find out his wife has, like, cancer or some sort of debilitating disease, and she's going through all of that. And then he discovers, like, some young boy from Northern Africa who's smuggled into the country and is trying to get to the UK for a better life or something like that. He helps the young boy, protects him from the police and stuff like that, and sends him on his merry way by the end of the movie. At which point, he then comes home and sees an empty bed with a doctor next to it and thinks his wife must have died while he was gone, and then turns around and she's got, like, some sort of a sunshine halo behind her, and she's like, I'm cured. Ah! That's just stupid! What is this, some sort of karma? Is that the message they're trying to send? Help the illegal immigrants move on, and we'll save your wife's life. I don't know. It wasn't even, like, the worst movie in the world. It was just, there's something about that moment that was just so cringy. It was terrible. I absolutely hated that movie. But anyway, I'll never forget it. Moving on, though. Okay, so now we have 37 points. What was I talking about before? Something we wanted to do? Oh, right. We're going to have to tamp down on the food price increase, because this is going to be a huge problem. Now, one thing we could do to try and help fix the water shortage a little bit is we could reduce the number of farmers in the country. Right now, there are so many farmers, 66%, and they're using up so much water that they're making things a lot worse. So what we could do is actually outsource our own farming to a different area of the world with the Farmland Acquisition Program. Acquire fertile lands, stabilize the food supply of the country. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs brokers deals with developing nations. So basically, we find third world countries that are in poverty, but have really fertile land, and negotiate an exclusive contract and say, here's the deal. If we give you money, you work the land and send us your food at a discount rate. That's the idea behind it. And some people, apparently, environmentalists and liberals, another typo, by the way, liken it to new colonialism. It seems a little bit harsh. Seems like a voluntary agreement to a nation that could desperately use some money, and they have a resource, namely fertile lands, that we need. It's a nice voluntary trade. I think it's a good deal. But I kind of see what they're saying, that it's like the rich countries are basically paying the serfs to go and mend the land. I don't know. Whatever. It's an option, though, and we're going to go ahead and pass it. So what this is going to do, if we do, well, we could do nothing, like none, but that doesn't affect food prices. So let's do something small. We don't want to do a ton, because it's very expensive. But if we did, like, let's say 12 billion, this would reduce food prices by 9% over the next 8 turns, which offsets some of the damage being done by the water shortage. Good. It also reduces farmer membership, which will make it a little bit easier for us to deal with the water shortage as well. So that's something. That's something at least. Okay, one other thing I'm really concerned about. What's immigration looking like right now? It is going up a lot, okay? How's the GDP looking? Going up a lot. How's housing? Going up a lot. Oh my. We are about to have a housing crisis, aren't we? I do declare I think we're about to have a housing bubble. And if that happens, poor earnings goes down because no one can afford any housing because there's too much demand and not nearly enough supply. And that will destroy our poor earnings plus the food prices, which means we get a general strike and we lose the game. Okay. So we have to try and stop it from crossing that start trigger by doing something now. I'm thinking mortgage tax relief. Yes, it costs a bit of money. Yes, it's a bit of a distortion of the market. Yes, we're subsidizing the middle class at the expense of everyone else. Okay, but there's a hidden value here that affects the housing bubble. If we can stop it from crossing that threshold, that's kind of a big deal right now. So I think we kind of have to do it, and that's exactly what we're going to try to do. So, okay, we passed that. Mortgage tax relief is going to increase. Hopefully, even though this is going to continue going up with the GDP, it does not lead to a housing bubble because that would be, I don't know, somewhat disastrous. Just a little bit. All right, Lucas wants to talk again. Gosh dang it, shut up, go away. What's wrong with you? Just do your job. Ban same-sex marriage. No, we're going to allow it. We had this event before, but because I reset the game, it came up a second time. I'm so sorry. 87% of the vote. Yes, we're going to upset all the religious people, by the way. It was technically a little bit better to just go ahead and ban it. But they're almost the same in terms of membership, so that's good. Anyway, okay, so if he's going to quit on me, that causes some problems. What we need to do, actually, is try to make ethnic minorities and liberals a lot happier. We could go to border controls and try to reduce this a little bit. That does increase immigration, which actually might make the housing issue worse. But by throwing a bone to both of them, this could be a good thing. We'll reduce it down to about 400 million. It does cost a bit of political capital, but I think it might be a worthwhile thing to do. And it does make the liberals a lot happier. This is one of the main things that they're upset at me about right now, including the intelligence services. But I'm trying to get rid of the organized crime. Do you want the Greek mafia gone or not? Make up your freaking minds. Morons! All right. So what we could do next, then, if we want to focus on the environment, we have a couple of different options. Because this is still just getting worse and freaking worse as the GDP continues to ramp up. Is anything still going up here, by the way? No. The global economy is going up. How much you want to bet we're going to have a global recession at some point relatively soon? And if that is the case, that actually could be good for me because it slows down the GDP, which lets me catch up on the environment. So we have a couple of options here. We could go for the hybrid cars initiative, which makes people happy, it's very cheap, and it very much improves the environment. Not bad. Alternatively, car emission limits, which costs about the same. A little bit more political capital, but that's about it. And is just as good, if not better. All right, we're going to do the car emission limits. Boom. This improves the environment by a whopping 24% over the next 16 turns. So we're not going to get the full benefit of this, but holy crap, that goes up. CO2 emissions goes down and car usage goes down. And we're really upsetting all of the motorists right now, and I'm very sorry about that, but it has to be done, I think. Absolutely has to be done. All right, the other thing that we're going to do is we are going to just go ahead and pass the Keep the Country Tidy campaign. Basically, you know what? Instead of just trying to mandate that everyone take better care of the place, we're just going to persuade them. Yes, we'll try persuasion for once. Maybe it'll even work. It improves the environment by 3.6%, which isn't a lot, but for considering how much we're paying, it's not terrible. I'm okay with that. What we're basically doing is we're setting up some networking in PBS Kids, right? And as the children sit around the TV, they see some animated cartoon figures crying about how a piece of litter probably killed a duck or something next door. And it's like, save the planet. Yeah, this is how you persuade the next generation. Catchy song, animations on public broadcasting. I love it. That makes perfect sense to me. Okay, we actually are at the end of this video. This one was a little bit short, I admit. And part of that's because I didn't go on some long-winded rant. Good news is, by the way, we crossed the magic threshold to get enough technology of getting the technological advantage, and from here on out, it's going to go down a little bit. Not much, but a little bit, which means we are not going to have the internet crime or the cyber warfare events. Also, our foreign relations are skyrocketing. People love Greece right now. But yeah, that is huge. The cyber warfare would have crushed the economy by a good like 15-20%. The internet crime, once it gets there, is so hard to get rid of shy of internet censorship. So avoiding that is actually massive. And you might say, oh, how do you know? Guys, I have played this game enough and I've practiced this exact campaign enough to know exactly what would have happened. It's one of the reasons I even knew to look for this private housing thing, by the way. Because it's really freaking bad. So yes, I'm glad that we did that. Because I'm pretty confident we avoided some catastrophic events. Now we need to avoid a few new ones with the food prices and the water shortage and the housing costs. If we can keep the housing costs from hitting us, we'll be okay. So the next thing we have to do, next video, is we have to focus all of this surplus, and I mean almost all of it, into a climate change adaptation fund. It's going to cost me 45 billion euros per quarter. Outrageously expensive, but over time we'll get rid of the water shortage, at least to get it below the stop trigger. And hopefully by then, we can improve the environment enough that it doesn't come back. And once it's gone, food prices will just plummet again, which will be amazing. So, yeah, that's the next big goal. That is the existential threat to Greece right now. I'm hoping we can deal with that in the next couple of videos. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, then be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.